today is part two. And we're really going to start talking about how do you get the word out, right? This is kind of getting the word out, letting folks know that you're in real estate, right? And there's lots of different things that I just want to talk about that will help you with that. Let me just start with a real simple. I want to get into some basics, some of the basics that we need to have. And it's interesting in the course Lead Gen 3612.3. There's a quote in the second module where Gary Keller starts to talk about how so many times people struggle to feel that they're valid, right? That new agents, especially, that they don't really want to let anybody know that they're in the business until they get their business cards, because a professional would have a card, right? And so you want to make sure that you get your business cards first. And then in my experience, what happens is once the business cards come in, a lot of times what people do is they'll look at the picture and they'll be like, not really the best picture of me. I should probably have a professional headshot. And so they don't really let too many people know that they're in the business until they get the new business cards, right? And then what happens is the business cards come in and they look at it and they're like, but that website, they're going to go to my website. It's not going to look like much yet. And there's always a reason why we kind of hold off, right? One of the things that I know for fact is that there's, letting people know that you're in the business and generating leads and just creating awareness is something that a lot of times people are afraid of rejection for lead gen. And there is sometimes some rejection in professional sales, right? And it's not a personal rejection. It's just the rejection that they may not need this product and service that you're providing at the time that you're providing it. And yet so much of our identity as realtors is not a business, it's us. We're not marketing Keller Williams. We're not marketing a Walmart. We're marketing me as a person, and it feels more personal, right? So I get that, but I think there's this other thing that's out there that kind of gets in the way sometimes of realtors getting their business started, and it's called the imposter syndrome. And what the imposter syndrome is about is if I put myself in the way of an opportunity before I'm fully prepared to handle that opportunity, I'm going to get exposed as not really being prepared, right? And anybody besides me ever deal with that imposter syndrome? You can just kind of unmute yourself or just put in the checkbox. Yeah, that's something that I've dealt with from time to time.
Every day.
That's a big one. That's a big one for a lot of us. And because, I'll talk about this again in a minute, perhaps. But, adults don't like to look foolish, right? It's really interesting. If you think about adult learning, and trust me, we'll get into the basics here in terms of how to get the word out. But there's four different levels of how adults learn. And it starts with the very first level, the bottom rung on the ladder, is this place that we call unconscious incompetence. And in unconscious incompetence, I don't even know what I don't know. I'm kind of unaware of all the different things that I could know. And so that happens is that with a little bit of learning, we suddenly become aware that we don't know as much as we think we should. And we move from unconscious incompetence to fully aware conscious incompetence. And that's really scary for adults, right? To suddenly recognize that I'm not prepared enough to do the things that I'm being asked to do. To be consciously incompetent is terrifying. And I think for adult learners especially, it's the thing that causes them to freeze up. It's the thing that causes them to not move forward. It's different for kids. With kids, they don't care what people think. If I went into a kindergarten classroom today and asked the group, how many of you can draw? Every single hand would rise to the ceiling. And not only would their hands shoot up, but they would be squiggling in their chair. They'd be so excited about how they can draw. If I opened up this Zoom room with 12 people in the room right now and asked how many of you guys can draw, what would the response have been? There may be a couple of you who are good and draw and said that you could, but most of us filter that question by how many of you can draw well. And then in that judgment, you just sort of deny that you can draw. And the truth of the matter is all of us can draw, some better than others, right? But that's that place of conscious incompetence. And in the growth phase of your business, we tend to believe that I have to have certain things lined up before I can let people know that I'm in this space. I have to have a certain level of professionalism. I have to have a certain level of knowledge because I don't want to be exposed as being incompetent. Now, over time, with support and training and guidance and coaching and just being in the learning process, you move from this conscious incompetence into a place that we call conscious competence, meaning I can do the things that I need to do, but I have to kind of think about each step. Think about driving a car. The first time you're in a car, there's a driving school right around the corner from my house. And as I look sometimes in my neighborhood in the afternoon and watch these kids in these driving school cars, they're probably the safest drivers on the road because they are so painfully aware of every single thing that they're doing. They're driving precisely 25 miles an hour. They're looking at the mirrors the right way, all that stuff. It's this conscious competence that I can do it if I think about the steps. And then finally, through repetition, we get to the place where we just become unconsciously competent. We don't have to think about it anymore. You get in the car now and you don't even think about the journey half the time. You get in the car, you pull out the driveway, you get where you're going. You had the radio on, you're thinking about other things, you're having whatever, and you're not always really paying attention exactly to, and yet you're stopping at all the stop signs, all that stuff, right? Well, some of these business basic things are things that I think will help people feel that they're competent. But don't delude yourself. You need to have these things, and yet the truth of the matter is you're going to have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You're going to have to recognize that being consciously incompetent is part of the learning process. You know, if you've ever seen a baby bird, we've got a number of birds' nests in the trees and bushes around my home. And every once in a while, you see what happens is mama bird says it's time. And she just takes baby bird and she just pushes baby bird right out, right? And sometimes you gotta just jump and build your wings on the way down, right? That's a quote that I love from John Maxwell. You have to just jump and build your wings on the way down. And so I'm going to give you some wing building things here today, but don't delude yourself into thinking that you have to have all these things in place before you jump. Right? We've got to get into the process of getting things going and getting things started. And you're not going to be ready the first opportunity when it comes along. But that's why you've got us. That's why we've got a team of people behind you. That's why you've got a team leader and an MCA and me and all these other folks. We are not going to let you get hurt out there. But let's talk about some of the things that you need to get going. Business cards. How many of you, is there anyone yet who has not ordered business cards? And you can just put yourself in the, just type in the chat or just raise your hand with the little hand raise button here in the participants section. Anybody not have cards? I haven't ordered cards yet, says Nina. Okay. Do you know where you would go? Who would help you with that? Do you remember from last time we were here, I said, of all the different people in the market center, there's a core group of folks whose job it is. Alicia, I haven't gotten them either, says Noel. Okay, so it's going to be your agent services folks, right? And the agent services folks, I don't have that PowerPoint from last time, but let's go through. It's, and I think there's a lot of people, if you ask, there's tons of people who will point you in the right direction, but it's the job of the agent services folks to help you with these kinds of tasks, right? And so in Ridgewood, that would be Natalie Certosimo. In Woodcliff Lake, that would be Stephanie. In Tenafly, it would be another Natalie, right? In Fort Lee, it's Kat Morano, right? And in Rutherford, it's going to probably be Kevin, right? Now, I saw Chris Bush's name as the MCA, and look, you can go to Chris, and Chris will help guide you in the right direction, but the person who I want you to just keep plastered in the back of your brain is the agent services person's role is to kind of help you making sure that you have all the things that you need. So get your business cards. And if you think you need a professional headshot and you don't have one, then get your business cards, just get less, get maybe 200 or so, or whatever the smallest order you can make. And then when you've got your business cards, when you get the professional headshot, you can go out there and put those on. Here is what my business card looks like for a business that I run outside of KW. It does not have my picture on it. Couple reasons. One is, have you seen this face? But here's what I think. I think that a lot of times professionals don't always. Does your doctor have his or her face on their business card? Does your attorney? Usually not. Usually what we're trying to do is to be memorable by the skills and the services that we have. But get your business cards, because I know that what's going to happen is you're going to want to get your business cards into the hands of the people who can help you grow your business. So we're going to talk strategy around that. Your Keller Williams email, every single one of you has been assigned as part of your onboarding process a KW email account. And the Keller Williams email account is hosted by Google. I think KW is probably one of the top 10 largest customers that Google has. So even though your email, like mine is my name at kw.com, halbenz at kw.com, it's a Google account. It's being hosted on Gmail, right? And what you want to do is you want to get that set up, right? But when they onboard you in your market centers, that account is created. I'm going to share my screen again because there's some other things that I want you to see here. So stick with me for a second. Where do I want to go? I want to go here. Just let me get the right page up and share my screen so that you can see. Can you guys see my KW website again? Just somebody give me a thumbs up or unmute and let me know that you can see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Over here in the technology button, you're going to see KW email here. You're going to click on that too, and it's going to tell you what you need to know about getting your email set up. But I want you to get your Keller Williams email set up. It's really important, I think, that a professional person use a professional email account. And, you know, when you think about it, if you have your own hosting service, if you've got your own website and your email is hal@halbenz.com, fine. But in the interim, it's better to have your KW account than it is to just have your personal Gmail account. It's better to have your KW account than it is, God forbid, if you're still one of the people that's using an AOL account. And I don't have any problems with AOL. Don't get me in trouble if you love AOL, but it just reeks old school, right? And so get your KW email account set up. Back in the business basics here for a second, I want to share with you something else. Is your email signature. All right, so stick with me for a second because I want to actually go in and I'm going to share with you a video on how to create your email signature, but I want to take you into my command account for a second. So give me a second to log in into that KW command. And, oops, I typed KE command. See, that's what happens when you're not a typist. All right, so I'm going to share my screen into my command account here. And when I do that, what do I see? Hopefully by now you're seeing my command account. Do you see that? Anybody can give me a thumbs up? All right, I'm sharing a lot of different things here. I want to make sure you're following me. So we're going to get our business cards. We're going to make sure that we've got our KW email account set up. In command, what I'd love for you to do is go into the design section. And if you go over here, click on the red KW, it opens everything up so you can see what's what. In designs right here, this is kind of the art studio, if you will, where we can make a lot of different things. This is where we have our buyer's consultation guidebooks and our listing consultation guidebooks. And this is where we can make social media ads and all kinds of things. What you're going to do down here, and I'm going to share with you a video link, I believe, that will kind of walk you through this. But you just simply go here to the plus box. And you're going to click on the button here that says social and then click next, and it will take you into the design studio. So we're going into the design studio. And on the left-hand side here, you're going to see business basics. And this is where your email signatures live. If you want to take a look and you say, how come these people that send emails from my market center have these really cool signatures? Well, here's how they make them. You click on it here. And there's two different versions, right? And I'll just click on this one. We're not going to go through the whole process here, but I want to show you where to find these, right? You click on it, it opens it up, and now you can go through and you can swap out your picture, you can put your name, you can put your market center's name and all that sort of stuff, and save that as a JPEG file, a picture file. And once you've got that, then you go back into your KW Gmail account. And in settings, there's a button there that says signature. You're just going to add this picture as the signature. And when you send your emails out, it's going to look like this. That's what I want you to have so that you can feel confident when you're reaching out to folks. Kim, I think I saw you pop up there on the screen. I think you've done this, right? You have a KW signature, I think, correct?
Yeah, but you know what happened? It's really weird. That's what I wanted to mention. I built it in, designed, and then when I tried to put it in signature through Gmail, it wouldn't work. So what I had to do is save it as a JPEG, and I just drag it as art into my every email I write.
Oh, you have to do that manually?
Yeah, because it said it was too long to fit in Gmail. It was really weird. So
That is really weird. Well, you know what I would try to do then, Kim, and maybe if you want to jump on an office hour, we could play with this together or whatever. But I would probably take that signature and I would go into a picture editor. And you can find lots of these online where you can edit the size of that, right? And see if you can just shrink it down a little bit to something that would fit in. There's a link here that I'm just copying, and I'm going to go to the chat box in a second here. In this chat box, I'm going to pop another link here for you. And this link, I hope, is going to take you to a quick video on how to create your email signature, right? Watch that. Kim, you might want to go back and see if you missed a step somewhere. There shouldn't be a step missed. If you were able to save it as a JPEG, it should work. For some reason, if the file is too big, then maybe we have to see if we can shrink that file down a little bit. But getting back to this idea of kind of what are the things that I need to have so that I can feel confident in going out there and reaching out to folks. So let me go back to the PowerPoint again, right? Hopefully we're back on the PowerPoint. We want to have business cards. We want to have our KW email. We want to have our custom signature. We also want to have our apps. Now, is everybody familiar with the Kelly app? Kellie, or maybe just Kelle? I'm not sure. Is anybody familiar with what the Kelly app is? You can either just unmute or just type in the chat box. I know, I don't know.
Yes, I do know.
You do know. Okay. I want you to have that installed, right? What I want you to do is I want you to go to the App Store, and it doesn't matter where you get your apps from, but you go into the App Store and you want to search Keller Williams Kelly, and you want to download that app. And what it's going to do for you is it's going to be kind of your little digital smartphone personal assistant in a lot of ways. Once you've downloaded that app, you'll be able to do certain things like market snapshots. You can just, wherever you're standing, because your phone has a geotag on it, it knows where you are. You simply open up Kelly, you type the words market snapshot, and it will pull up what is going on in that particular neighborhood. How many homes are for sale? How many homes are under contract? How many homes, what's the average sale price? All that sort of stuff, right? It's a really important app for you to have because it's going to help you do some real basic research, right? And we're going to talk in some other sessions around what do you need to learn in your marketplace really to be confident. But the Kelly app is another thing, as a business tool I want you to have, right? That's also where you're going to be able to check things like once you've set your goals up, your business goals in Command, which we're going to talk about at a later date. It will track where are you in relationship to your goals. It will track things like any profit share earnings that you might get from the company. I want you to download the Kelly app, and I also want you to download your KW Search app, right? The KW Search app is the app where you're going to share it with other folks. You're going to share that app with other people, right? And it's going to be branded to you. And I think if I've done this right, which I probably didn't, but if I did this right, I want to just see if I can share a little quick video with you. It's only about a minute and a half. A quick 1.5 minute video on the KW app. Can you guys see my YouTube channel? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just try to start this so you can kind of get a sense of this app.
We need a pool. Let's do a pool. budget. Don't we want to live close to
My parents.
my parents? We'll pick this up later. Nice.
Now, how about that pool?
So the KW app, just a short little, let me see if I can get out of this before YouTube opens up another thing on me that I don't want. The KW app, the beauty of this app is it's not just ability to search, right? You're going to be able to search for sure, but it's also going to be able to track every step along the process. Once you're under contract, it'll help guide people through what's the next step look like, all that sort of stuff. The beauty of this app, though, is that when you get it into your client's hands, and one of the very first things that I think is useful in terms of getting the word out is letting people know that you've got this app that you're willing to share with them. And when they download this app, the beauty of what we've done is it's not one app that you can share. It's not like the Zillow app that anybody can download. Keller Williams has built 180,000 different apps. Every single agent has their own app branded to them. And the beauty of that is when you share your app with your clients and your friends and family, and as they start to look at about information about real estate in their areas, if they have any questions, if they have any concerns, all they simply need to do is to just tap on the screen where it says contact agent. And because it's branded to you, instead of calling the listing agent, they're calling you, is making your cell phone ring or sending a text or an email to your cell phone, right? So the app is the other thing. The Kelly app and the KW search app, really important that you have those and you have those set up, right? If you're not sure how to do that, where would you go? You would go back to, I said agent services coordinator, and you might go there. They're probably going to point you then to the tech coordinator, which would either be Elise Dulani or Chris Gareffa to help you get that set up, right? But just some business basic tools that we need to have ready to go to help us kind of push through and feel a little more confident is business cards, email, custom signature, Kelly app, search app. What do you see next? Do I have note cards? Do you see my screen where it says note cards?
Yes, I see it.
Why would I want you to have note cards? And by note cards, I mean simply, something like this size, right? Just a little note card like this that you can put in an envelope, throw a stamp on, and send out to somebody. Why would I want you to have note cards?
Send a personal note to
Personal
people,
notes, Cynthia, right? Because so much of what you want to do when you get the word out is to make people feel good, right? When was the last time you got a handwritten note from anybody? We don't get a lot of those anymore. And when you do get one, it gets your attention. When you do get one, it's probably the first piece of mail that you're eager to open up because it usually means that you're being invited to a party or something exciting is happening. You don't get handwritten notes from your lenders telling you that your mortgage payment is due, right? And so I want you to get these handwritten notes and to have these business cards. And as you talk to folks and let them know that you're in the real estate business now, I want you to put some business cards into an envelope with handwritten note that and share them. Get those out in people's hands, right?
I found perfect personal note cards with pictures of front doors.
Oh, I love that. And you know what? I'm really glad that you brought that up, Cindy, because a lot of times people say, should I get KW note cards? And you can. I have a whole stack of them over in my bookcase. However, I think if it's a personal note, it probably should not be business branded. There's a time and a place for a business card, but I think a personal note gets to be personal. And so if it's got doors on it, if it's got flowers on it, whatever is resonant with what works for you, get that, right? But you're going to use the note cards as a way of acknowledging folks. You're going to use the note cards as a way of getting those business cards out of people's hands. The last thing that I wanted to talk about on the business basics, and it's all about building the confidence that allows me to feel like I'm not afraid to reach out to somebody and let them know because I've got all my business tools set up, right? I want you to register your business on Google, right? And so you're like, okay, what does that mean? How does that look? Well, stick with me for a second here. And I'm just going to go straight up to Google. And I'm going to share my screen yet again. I'm getting pretty good at sharing the screen here. I'm just on a web browser, right? I'm just on Chrome. And here's Google. Now, here's what happens when you search for a business. And I'm just going to recognize that you are a business. Even though you're an independent contractor and a sole proprietor, you are a business. And so what I'm going to just use Christine Gubb, who's an agent in Ridgewood, because I use her a lot. C-H-R-I-S, Gubb. When I search her name and understand when people meet you for the first time or get your name referred, they're going to do a Google search. What shows up on page 1 for you, right? Do you see how Chris has got this here? This is what we call a business registration. And I want you to have that. I want you to register your business on Google. It's free. You have to have a Google account to do it. Oh, and by the way, you have one. Your KW account is a Google account. What I want you to do is I want you to register your business, and it's probably going to be registered as your name, right? Hal Benz, real estate agent, whatever you're going to call it. You're going to see the address here is going to have to be the address of your office, right? This is going to be the telephone number of your office. You can put your cell number on as well, but you're going to have both, right? This is where you can hyperlink your website, all kinds of things. I'm not going to walk you through how to do this here, but I am going to tell you that one of the things that makes you look like a professional is to have your business registered on Google. Now, where do you think you would go to learn how to do that?
Yeah, your Gmail
No?
or your Google account?
Well, no, you know, the easiest way to learn how to set up your business and register your business with Google is to go to YouTube, who incidentally is owned by Google, and just type in a YouTube box, how do I register my business on Google? And you're going to see a little instruction video on walking you through the steps. You'll have to go into your Gmail account, right, which is your KW account. You're going to go into the settings, and the video will walk you through the steps. It's not complicated, but I want you to do it, right? Because it will make you look and feel more professional. The other thing that happens, just so that you know, is your web page, your business account won't go live immediately. They have to verify that you truly are at that address. And so what they're going to do is Google is going to send you a postcard at your business address with the actual activation code number on it. It takes about 7 days when you receive that, which means you will have to go back into the office, right? We are going back into the offices now. You'll get that card, and when you get it, you go back into your Gmail account, you put in that activation code, and now it goes live, and now you can start to edit it with pictures and all those kinds of things. But the basic tools to get started is business cards, email signature. I want you to have the app set up, the search app, the Kelly app. I want you to register your business. One other thing I want you to do, I want you to set up a Google alert about your business. Who's familiar with Google Alerts and can talk a little bit about what they are? Is anybody familiar with what they are and how they work? Anybody not familiar? You can just type in that chat box and say, dude, you're speaking Swahili to me. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. A Google Alert. What is that?
Familiar.
All right, so here's what a Google Alert is. A Google Alert, understand that the internet is constantly being updated with all kinds of information. And what Google does is they send out these little web crawlers to go out there and constantly be looking at what is new information that's showing up on the internet so that Google can categorize it and organize it so that it can be searched for, right? And you can set up an alert around specific words or specific phrases, meaning I have a Google alert, for example, about my name. Anytime someone talks about me by name on the internet, Google is going to notice it and it's going to alert me. And you can set the frequency as to whether you want to get alerted immediately, whether you want to get alerted once a day, once a week, once a month. You can decide. But I want you to set up an alert for the name of your business, because as a professional, as you're getting the word out, what people see on the first page of your Google search is really important. You want to control page 1 of Google. I want you to register your business as one of those things. You take a look at Chris. What does she have here? She has her own personal website here. This is her Zillow account. This is her Facebook account. What you really want to do is you want to make sure that everything that shows up on page 1 is stuff that you are comfortable with people seeing, right? And so in the unlikely event, and I was talking to a woman a few months ago who said, look, I did a search on my name, and what I found was that there was a real estate agent in Florida with the same name as me who had gotten arrested for defrauding her clients. And I'm really troubled by that because I don't want people thinking that's me just relocated to New Jersey, right? And that would trouble me, right? There's a lot of things that could come up that maybe isn't what you want people to see. You can't control let me say it this way, you can't take that off of the internet. But what you can do is you can push it out. You can push it down. Once you start to register and you have your KW website up and you build out your business Facebook page, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, social media platforms, more than anything else, constantly rank on first page when searched for, because social media is constantly giving fresh new content all the time. And that's what the algorithm loves to see. So by simply setting up your Facebook account, setting up your Realtor.com account, setting up your Zillow, all these different things, what you'll do in effect is control what people see on page 1, right? Just if there's something there that's not flattering, that doesn't involve you, it will get pushed onto page 2, which people aren't likely to go to as quickly, right? So the tasks today, the first tasks on Business Basics, first tasks I wanted to get to is business cards, email, custom signature, get these apps, note cards, set up your Google business page, and set up an alert, right? Now, just as a sidebar, you can put an alert about anything you want to, right? You could put an alert on a property address once you start taking listings. And I think that makes sense because every once in a while, you'll find that somebody's actually advertising your listing without your permission and trying to siphon off those leads. Well, the moment that property address shows up on the internet, if you've set that address as an alert, Google will find it and it will send you an alert to let you know that that's there and you can address that issue, right? So first slide here today. We spent a lot of time on this, half hour on these business basics. Any questions around any of these things? I'm hoping you're getting a little punch list of things to do if you haven't done them yet, right? Who should you tell that you're in the real estate business? Once you're at the point where you're feeling confident enough to say, look, I know that I'm not perfect yet. I know that I haven't figured everything out yet, but I'm going to let people know anyway. I'm going to risk this imposter syndrome. Who should you tell? Well, you should tell anybody and everybody who you have the potential to do business with. And a lot of times what people say is, well, I've got friends all over the country. I wouldn't really bother telling people that I went to college with in California because I would never really have the opportunity to do a real estate transaction with them here in New Jersey. Well, you could do referral business. You know, if you build a relationship with them and they start to recognize that you're in the real estate space, when the time comes that they do need a realtor, you could help them find someone who's good in their community and earn the right to a referral fee. So the truth is, you should really tell pretty much everybody, right? You should let everybody know. And it's a lot like having kids, meaning You got to tell them again and again and again. You know, when I was a kid, my mother used to say to me, how many times do I have to tell you this? Well, the research says that people need to hear a message at least 7 times before they can retain it. One of the things that happens is when we get into the real estate space, we let people know, maybe we send an announcement out, maybe we send them an email, maybe we call them on the phone and we say, hey, I just started with Keller Williams Realty, and we think that they're going to remember. They're not. You know, you've got to tell them again, and you've got to tell them again, and you've got to tell them again. 7 times is what the research says people need to hear before they retain any message. But there's a huge opportunity there. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get your phone out, right? Here's what I want you to do. Just take your phone, and on my phone, here's where I have my contacts. I want you to go to the contact section. Can you do that with me, guys? There's 13 of us. Just open up your contacts, and I want you to scroll all the way down through the alphabet, A, B, C, D, all the way to the bottom. And I want you to tell me how many contacts, because on the very bottom, there should be a number. How many contacts do you have in your phone? And just tell me some numbers or put them in the chat box. I'd love to hear how big those numbers are. It's not a right or a wrong number there, but can you follow the exercise with me? Does it make sense? Scroll to the bottom of your contacts list. Tell me how many you have. I'd love to hear some numbers. You guys are a quiet group today. Your lists on your phone are so long that it's taking you so long to get there. But seriously, give me some numbers. I want to hear. I got it.
234.
How much?
234.
234. Good. Who else has got a number?
185.
185. Perfect. Now, here's what I want you to understand. What the research tells us is that as a percentage of the population at large, 65% or 2/3 of the population will become homeowners. 1/3 of the population will not. 1/3 of the population will be renters. What I want you to do is who said 234? Whose number was 234?
Me, Nina.
Nina, okay. 234, if 2/3 of that number is potentially going to be a homeowner, I'm going to take 234 and multiply it times 0.66. And what do I get? I get 154 is 2/3 of that number. Now, here's the other thing. The other thing that the research tells us, the National Association of Realtors tell us, that the average homeowner moves about every 10 years. There's lots of folks that move faster. There's lots of folks that move slower, but the sweet spot is about once every 10 years. And so if the average person moves once every 10 years, what that tells us is that 10% of that list will probably be moving this year. If everybody moves once every 10 years, 10% will be moving this year. If I took Nina's 154 people, which represents the potential homeowners in her phone, and multiplied that by 10%, it tells us that inside your phone, my friend, are 15 people who are likely to move this year. I want some feedback on that. You follow the math? 15 people in your phone, Nina, are probably going to move this year. They have to know that you're in the real estate business, right? Huge opportunity there, right? Huge opportunity, right? So you got to let everybody know. And what would you say? Well, there's some scripts for that. We're going to talk about scripts in another session, probably next week. But I do have some scripts for you, and I'm going to try to minimize the screen here so I can get back to my script page. I have a script here that I'm going to throw up into the chat box. And it is, chat box, where are you? Here you are. Okay. Oh, there's your numbers. You guys are all in the chat box talking at me. I had my chat box closed. I see 255, 234, 178, 429. Lots and lots of numbers, guys. That's awesome. Remember, take that number, multiply it by 2/3. That's your potential homeowners pool, and divide that by 10. And that would give you a little bit of a sense of who is going to be in play this year, right? Now, in the chat box, I'm going to throw another link. This link, if all goes well, somebody click on that link and tell me if it takes them somewhere. I want to know if that takes you to a script. Anybody following that link to a script?
Yes, it does download a script.
Okay, cool. And so what that script is, it's the new to Keller Williams real estate script. And so if you look at it, right, it starts with this idea that we call FORD, F-O-R-D, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, things that you can use as conversation starters with people. Whenever you're building rapport with folks, you're always going to want to make it about them and talk about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. But if you scroll down to page 2, there's a new to Keller Williams script. And it just is something that you can use when you contact folks to let them know that you're in the business. If you're new to Keller Williams, but you're not new to the industry, there's other scripts in here that are really more about that you changed companies, right? Or if you've let people know and you just want to remind them, there's a reminder script here, right? I want you to have these scripts, and I want you to just kind of look at these conversations, and I'm less concerned immediately that you memorize this and learn it word for word. What I am more concerned is that you have a direction as to where this conversation's going, right? And you know what to say to let people know that you've gotten into real estate. One of the scripts that I think is really powerful and really effective, and I'm going to go back to my screen again, hopefully. I probably have too many shares open right now to make this work. But I'm going to try to get back to the PowerPoint. Can you see the PowerPoint or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Knowing what to say and know how to say it is a scripted thing. You can use text as well. One of the things that I love is to really start to think about who do you have in your world? Who is in your sphere? Kind of who has your back, right? I sometimes ask it this way, not that it would apply to anybody on this call, but if you were in a bar fight and you needed somebody to come and help you, like who would you call, right? Who would have your back through thick or thin, regardless of what kind of a predicament you got yourself into? That's the person that I would love for you to call up today and let them know that you need their help, and let them know that you're in real estate and you need their help. I'm calling you because you're somebody who I know always is out there to help me whenever I'm in a situation where I need backup. And here's what I need. I need your support. Who do you know? Who do you know? Maybe somebody from some place that you work or an organization that you belong to. Who do you know that needs the services of a realtor to buy or sell or invest in real estate this year? Right? When you invite people to help you, right? And the anatomy of that question, let me just unpack this for a second. It's not, hey, I just got my real estate license. Do you know somebody who needs the services? Do you know somebody is the wrong question. It sounds similar, but it's not the same question. Because do you know somebody who needs a real estate agent? Is that an open-ended question or a closed-ended question? Are we familiar with the difference between the two?
Yes.
Which one is that? Do you know somebody who needs to sell a house? Is that open-ended or closed-ended?
Close.
Closed, right? Because it's a simple yes or no answer. And here's the thing that happens. Because they're not sitting around thinking about all the people that they know who need to buy or sell a house, the moment you call, you're going to ask them, who do you know? And they're going to spend a second and go, nobody. And, so we need to help them along. We need to kind of change that question to a different kind of a question that asks them to think a little bit. Who do you know? Not do you know, implies that there's going to be somebody in there. A little exploration to figure out who it is. Who do you know? Maybe somebody from where you work. Maybe somebody from an organization that you belong to. Maybe a neighbor. It says, look in this little bucket. Look in this little bucket. Look in this little bucket. And then what's going to happen is that person is going to start to think a little bit more deeply. And the name that wasn't right top of mind when you called them is likely to be more accessible. And keep in mind, this is a script that you're going to use with somebody who you really think it cares, who really has your back. This isn't going to work as effective with a total stranger, right? It's not. But with somebody who really is invested in helping you succeed, they're going to do a little bit deeper search. And guess what? In their phone, 65% of those people are going to be homeowners. 10% of those folks are going to are probably going to take action this year. You're allowing yourself to kind of get into a broader search, a broader database, right? So know what to say. Use the scripts, right? Use the telephone, use text messaging. I think a lot of times text messages are easier to send. Sometimes a text message that just invites people to call you, right? With your closest friends and family, a quick text that says, hey, got something really important I need to share with you. Can you give me a call later? Is a really good text, right? Because they may not necessarily be in the right space to take that call when you call them, but they will call you when it's time that they have time, right? But I want you to use the phone and use these scripts and use these text messages to kind of just get the word out. We need to let people know that we're in the real estate business now. They have had a whole lifetime of knowing you as you, not the real estate agent. It's going to take more than 7 times for them to remember, right? Social media is a great way to get the word out. And you do want to have a business account, right? Especially on Facebook. You have to have a business account for advertising purposes. So if you haven't created a Facebook business page yet, this is something that you should put on your checklist to do. Recognize that your social media page is how people get to know you. It's how they kind of get the experience of kind of what are you. Nobody wants to go to your Facebook page and see you hawking your listings. It makes me a little bit nuts sometimes to see so many agents just advertising their new listing on their Facebook page. And I get where that comes from. But if you really think that you're advertising, think about it this way. When was the last time that anybody that you could think of would be sitting around the house having breakfast one day saying, you know what? This house is really too small. One of the things that I've learned in COVID is that this house really isn't big enough for all of us. We need a bigger place. And the other person at breakfast says, well, let me just jump on my Facebook feed and see what homes are for sale. Nobody's going to do that because people don't go to Facebook or Instagram to find inventory. They go other places. But what social media is really good for is for letting people see you engaging in the business of being in real estate. Rather than announcing your new listing there, what would be better would be to just let them see you engaged in something related to servicing that listing. For example, as you're putting the for sale sign on in front of the house, get a picture of you putting that sign on and hang it on and say something like, hanging another for sale sign on a new listing today. I'm so excited I love what I do. Hosting an open house, right? You could have a picture of yourself putting an open house directional sign out saying, I'm so excited about the opportunity to meet so many new families. I love to meet people in this job of real estate. Letting people seeing you do real estate stuff is a really good way for them to get reminded again and again and again that you're in the real estate business without you having to call them and say, hey, don't forget I'm in the real estate business. They're just seeing you do real estate stuff, right? That's even if you're in a class right now. And to put a post on Facebook that says, you know what, was in a Zoom class today. It's amazing how we've leveraged the Zoom technology to learn the things that we're learning. So excited to be learning so much about real estate in my new career. Whatever it is, you're not telling them, hey, I am in real estate. You're just letting them see a window into the world of you being in real estate. Right? That's what social media is really at its finest. And get creative. Get creative about how you're going to do that. We talked about handwritten notes. We didn't talk about video. Does anybody ever have a video email? Have you ever gotten a video email from someone? A lot of us don't necessarily use video email, but I'd encourage you to think about that, because what you can do, again, opening up your phone, going to the little icon that says camera and scrolling over to where it says video, what I can do then is I can turn this video around facing me and I can hit the play button, and then suddenly I can record this video and I can send a message. I can record a message when I'm done and I hit save. Now what I can do is I can take that video message, and on the little button down there where it says share, I can hit share, and it can ask me, who do you want to get that message? And I can send that message to you as a video, either to your text or to your email. Lots of different ways that you can kind of get the word out, right? But use the script, know what to say. I sent you a script. There's lots and lots of scripts that we'll talk about next week on where to find those. Here's the thing you're just going to have to contend with. Don't be surprised if in the very beginning, when you ask people for help, not your bar fight buddy, because they're going to have your back through thick and thin, but don't be surprised if, because you're newer to real estate, that people are a little bit hesitant to refer you or to use you. They kind of want to have you prove yourself a little bit first. Nobody wants to be the cardiologist's very first bypass operation. It's like, it's a little bit scary. You know, I've never really done one of these before. You're going to be my first. Oh, hold up. Wait, do you have a partner that I can talk to? Right. And sometimes people need to see you. That's where getting the word out through your social media channels, and not just telling them you're in real estate, but letting them see you do real estate related stuff. That's where they're going to warm up to the idea that, hey, you're really doing this, right? You're really doing this. But don't be offended if people who love you and care about you and want you to be successful almost kind of need you to prove yourself a little bit first before they trust to refer you to a friend or family member. I had been in one of the market centers about a year ago, and I was overhearing a conversation. It wasn't really a conversation. It was a shouting match. And the woman was screaming on the other end. And what seemed to get her so fired up was that apparently, because I asked her about it afterwards, she had a sister-in-law who had a boss who was moving, took a different position, and her boss was selling his house. And the sister-in-law, according to the agent, she wanted that referral. And the sister-in-law was reluctant to send that referral. And I said, well, let's talk about this for a little bit. I said, you know, this is her boss. This is a big deal. I said, have you sold any luxury homes of that kind before? She says, no. I said, have you sold any homes in that neighborhood before? She says, no. I said, have you sold any homes before? She says, no, this would have been my very first listing. And she didn't help me. I understand how painful that can feel and how frustrating that is, but this is her boss. This is her place of work, and you are the doctor's very first bypass operation. If things don't go well, there's potentially some real negative consequences for her in her workplace, right? Don't be offended if people are a little bit reluctant right out of the gate. Your bar fight buddy is going to have your back all the time. But the faster you can shorten that curve of letting people see you engaging in real estate related stuff, the more comfortable they're going to be with making that referral, right? It's not personal. It's just part of the process, right? So you never, ever, ever want to lose a personal relationship over a business issue, right? It's just not worth it. We talked about how to leverage social to show your network that you're engaged in the act of being a realtor, right? That's kind of where I would plan to go with the hour that we had today. It's 56 minutes in. I want to just scroll back up here. The basics. Make sure you've got your cards. And again, back to your agent services person for that. Email and custom email signatures. Download your apps. Have some note cards. Get your business registered. Put a Google alert around your name, right? And then begin the process of having these conversations with people. You're going to be talking to people and asking for the opportunity to do business before you're ready. You know, it's a fascinating industry that you've gotten yourself into. And when you think about it, you're an independent contractor. And what does that mean? Well, what that means really, it's a tax status issue as much as anything else. It's about how you file your taxes. But as an independent contractor, you are not an employee of a business. It's your business. And it's really fascinating to me how backwards the real estate industry has gotten this. When you think about any other business that has independent contractors, think doctors, think attorneys, think plumbers, lots of different folks work as independent businesses. But before they go out there and hang a shingle, before they go out there and open up a shop, they actually develop some skills. You know, what happens is you go out there, you do some work, you get really good skills, and at some point you're like, hey, you know what? Why am I doing this for the company when I could do this for myself and potentially make more money and be more independent? And so you develop a set of skills, and then you bring those skills to the marketplace as an independent. What we do in real estate is we say, you're going to come from ground zero. You don't know squat yet, just so you know. You're kind of consciously incompetent. And this is the level of competency that we're going to ask you to go out there and try to market yourself now. It's really crazy. I know what we teach in the 75-hour pre-licensing course because I'm a New Jersey licensed instructor, and I know that curriculum really well. We don't teach you enough for you to feel confident enough for you to feel good about going out there and taking the risk. I get that. That's just part of the game right now. Here's what you need to know. You're not alone. You've got a team. We're going to backstop you. We're not going to let you go out there and fall flat on your face. But at some point, Mama Bird is right. At some point, you just got to jump, and you got to build your wings on the way down. Some of these tools will help you to feel a little bit more confident, but nothing is going to help you feel prepared the very first time that you get an opportunity to work with a buyer or seller. It's just the way it's going to be. I do recommend you consider possibly in the very first couple of opportunities that you get, I think it does make sense to invite another agent to partner with you. We don't have a mentors program in Keller Williams. By design, we choose to not match people up as mentors. And that's a conversation for another day as to why we kind of go through training and coaching rather than mentoring. But I do think there's something to be said for learning how to do business from somebody who's doing business. The very first couple of times that you get an at-bat, I think it's not a bad idea to find another agent who you admire, somebody who you respect, and say, you know what, I've got an opportunity. You've got skills. Can we do this together? The only pathway to developing and growing is you're either going to learn it yourself or you're going to spend money to learn it from someone else who knows it. And it will cost you some dollars. You'll probably have to agree to share the commission and split the commission to invite the partnership with somebody who's done this before so that you can learn from their knowledge and learn how to do it right faster. Otherwise, you're going to end up, just kind of learning it through the school of hard knocks. I think it's worth thinking about. Start thinking in your market centers and who do I know? Who do I know that I would partner with? Who do I respect? Who do I admire? Right? That would be somebody you'd want to start thinking about those relationships now. So today was about just getting some of the basics in place to start the conversation, to get the word out. I like to end all the classes that I do with just what we call just looking for a couple of ahas. An aha is anything that you're thinking new about as a result of this conversation, or any light bulbs that went off in your head, or things that you've committed that you'll do differently as a result. Any ahas? You can put it in chat or you can unmute at this point.
Get the business registered in Google.
Yeah, get your business in Google. You know how professional you look? When people Google your name and they see your business panel right there, suddenly you've got a different level of credibility. As crazy as that sounds, it looks more professional, right? So get that registered. It doesn't take long. It's free, but you want to get that done, right? Any other ahas?
Working with another agent.
Partnering with another agent. Yeah. Really smart.
I had been thinking about that all along.
Yeah, I think it really is wise. I'm going to go back to the cardiac surgeon for a second. When it is time for him to do his very first or her very first bypass, she ain't in the surgical suite by herself.
No.
She's got a more experienced surgeon with her. The very first time that a pilot gets control of the commercial airliner, he's not the senior pilot on that plane. He's got somebody with him who is more experienced in case things go wrong. That level of partnership is something that you don't have to do that on every single transaction, but I think for the first couple, until you feel like you've got the lay of the land, I just think it makes sense, right? And I would be willing to shorten the learning curve to my own conscious competence. I would be willing to trade dollars And again, these are dollars that don't get paid until the closing. These aren't coming out of your wallet right now and say, I'll give you $500 if you go on this listing appointment with me. We may not have the bandwidth for that. This is, let's do it together. And when it closes, I'll let you keep whatever percentage of the commission that you guys negotiate. So it doesn't come out of pocket. It's leading with actual revenue, right? Okay, KW app and KW search. I see in the comment section where takeaways, get those apps. Need a class on using it. I think there may be a class out there already on using the app that I can find on KW's website that I will share with you in the chat box next time I see you guys. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Friday, we're going to be back Friday morning. I think it will be at 10 o'clock. And what are we doing on Friday? We're going to talk a little bit about key systems and models, right? Systems and models to think about having in place to make sure that as you build your business, you build it the right way. Any questions about any of the stuff that you have, know that you can always reach out to me. You can email me, you can text me, you can phone me. I have office hours 3 days a week. I'm here to be a support in whatever way helps you guys get your business going as quickly and as effectively as we can. Sound good?
Thank you.
All right, guys, be well. Have yourself a great day. I look forward to seeing you all soon.